If you ride bikes enough, you've probably experienced hate from all kinds of miserable motorists. Folks honking, cussing out the window. I'm on the right side of the road with all the room.
You're on the wrong road.
You were on the wrong side of the yellow. I can't be on Decker Canyon.
Take the chest at the bottom of this hill, listen to it. And I'm not gonna listen.
Well, that sounds like you should be arrested for that. I got your plates. I once had a beer can thrown at me when I was off the front in a solo breakaway about to win a race. Good old Alabama. But there's no place like the internet where folks will get stuck behind a cyclist for 11 seconds and spend 30 minutes on Facebook complaining about it. Today, we're going to take those most common complaints that I've seen over the years and explain why they're wrong in a little cyclist myth-busting segment. My advocacy content, as always, is brought to you by Bike Legal. Bike Legal are attorneys specializing in injured cyclists. Every time a follower of mine has an incident with a car, they send me a note like, hey, who's that lawyer you've talked about? And I send them Bike Legal. A few months later, they send me a note, hey, thank you. Bike Legal was super helpful. We got things resolved, taken care of, and they're happy with the outcome. Bike Legal also has tons of great content. I had the idea for this video and Googled like top cycling myths, and the first thing that came up was Bike Legal's blog. So I've been writing this video in my head for many years, but I'm also kind of plagiarizing my own sponsor. Okay, let's get into the myths. Number one, cyclists should pay road tax. The argument is that cyclists don't belong on the road because we don't pay for the road maintenance and upkeep. They want us to pay the road tax. Well, this is a great myth because there's no such thing as road tax. Roads are paid for from all kinds of funds, including the vehicle registration tax, gasoline taxes. Obviously, bicycles don't pay those, except most bicyclists do have cars, so we're paying those fees anyway. Depending on where you live, roads are mostly funded through federal taxes, local taxes, sales tax, property tax. Given that cyclists are more likely to be local since we have less range, that property tax is a piece of the pie that certainly has us paying our fair share. When it comes to road maintenance, please explain to me how my 28C tires and 150-pound frame does as much damage as your 6,000-pound SUV, and let me go ahead and pay you my fair share of that one. There it is for you. Do you pay a road tax when you walk in the street? Do you pay a road tax when you leave your trash cans out on the street for 18 hours once a week? Well, that takes up more space than I do. So you can go ahead and knock it off with the road tax argument. Number two, roads are built for cars. Roads have been around since the Roman Empire. Pretty sure they didn't have cars back then. In the early 1900s, pavement was introduced actually for cyclists to help them go faster. The only reason you think that roads are built for cars is because cars are heavier and bigger and go faster and have kind of just pushed everything out of the road. By that logic, if there's an older, slower person in front of you at the supermarket, do you scream and cuss and shove them out of your way? No, you wait your turn because they're a member of the public, and this is how we live in a civil society. Roads are built for the public to use, and in fact, because cyclists take up so little space on the road, it's been shown in studies worldwide that more cyclists equals less traffic congestion and reduced traffic jams, making your commute faster. That's right, the guy that you think is holding you up is actually making your trip shorter by not being another car that you're stuck behind. Number three, you bikers should be on the sidewalk. Sidewalk, it has walk right in it. Sidewalks are for walking, they're for pedestrians. Lots of times there's telephone poles, obstructions, foot traffic. You really don't want a bicycle flying up the sidewalk when you're walking out of the coffee shop. And in many places, it's actually illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. Number four, bikes should be in the bike lane. If you think that bicyclists should be in the bike lane, we're actually in agreement, and you should advocate for more bike lanes and better bike lanes where you live. Believe me, bicycles would love to be in the bike lane, if a bike lane existed. I don't want to be anywhere near you speeding, texting, angry people in cars. The problem is that bike lanes often don't exist, and when they do, they can be insufficient. If there's a bike lane but you see a cyclist in the car lane, that's probably because something about the bike lane isn't working. For example, folks use them for parking, for trash cans, guest trucks with their hazards on. Often the bike lanes aren't maintained properly, they're full of sticks, potholes, someone pulling out of a driveway without looking, or opening their car door into the bike lane from where they're parked. You know what's worse than a bicycle in the car lane? A bicycle in the bike lane that then has to swerve into moving traffic because there's something obstructing its way or a car door opens in front of them. Number six, bicycles break laws, you run red lights. The naughty cyclist is a great myth when studies show that bicyclists and cars break laws at about the same rate. That depends on where the study was done and the availability of bike lanes there. Bicyclists are more likely to break the law when the bike lane isn't available. And that's not because they're naughty or they're entitled. Bicyclists often break the law because it's safer to do so. For example, if I'm at a red light next to a car and the road ahead doesn't have a bike lane or enough space for both of us, when the light turns green, I'm now racing a car for limited space on the road. So if I see a gap in traffic, I might sneak through that red light just to claim my space on the road ahead. You might see cyclists running stop signs. Now, in some places, the Idaho stop is legal. It should be legal everywhere. The reason you might see cyclists running a stop sign is that bicycles take longer to get their momentum back. A bicyclist rolling through the stop sign without coming to a complete stop might not look great, but they're actually just trying to hold their momentum, which would keep traffic running more smoothly and efficiently. Another reason you might see cyclists breaking laws is that traffic sensors do not pick up bicycles. When you pull up to a left turn in your car, the light will sense that you're there and it'll eventually turn green. A cyclist could wait there all day and that light won't change. We have to run those, and in fact, it's legal to do so. And I recognize this is a whataboutism, but bicyclists, we might be more noticeable when we break the laws because there's fewer of us, you can see us more clearly. But take a look around you and you will see cars breaking the laws left and right. A car passes me on my bike, I'll be generous here and say that about a third of them are looking down at their phones instead of where they're going. And none of y'all are coming to a complete stop at that four-way stop sign. And let's go ahead and say the worst case scenario, a cyclist is behaving recklessly. Who is he endangering really other than himself? Anyway, the four-way stop could be its own video. It'd be 7 hours long, which is about how much time I've spent waving at cars when it's their turn, but they keep waving me to go because they want me to go ahead of them and then they're gonna be stuck behind me. Like I said, it could be a 7-hour video. Let's not get into that right now. A law-breaking cyclist is annoying, I'll grant you that, but it's simply not as dangerous as a law-breaking motorist, and you can't compare those apples to apples. Number 7, cyclists should always ride single file. These laws vary based on where you are, but 39 states specifically allow cyclists to ride 2 abreast. Now this might be counterintuitive, but bear with me, this is gonna make sense. Usually when you see bicyclists riding 2 abreast, that's for higher visibility. Cars are more likely to see us in that situation. But since most roads are too narrow for cars to safely pass, we're actually doing it to make passing easier. If bicycles are single file, cars will often try to squeeze past us when there really isn't room. The safe way to pass is to make sure no one's coming from the other side and drive around. Now in that situation, what we want to do is minimize the amount of time that a car is driving in the opposing lane against traffic. And when bicycles are single file, they're actually doubling the amount of time that you have to be in that opposing lane. Now granted, you can't squeeze through when cyclists are riding 2 abreast, but you shouldn't be doing that anyway. And overall, the path that you have to pass riding double file is now half the length, so it's safer for you to pass that way. Number 8, all you entitled men in tights just out there enjoying your hobby while I'm trying to get to work. To be fair, that is what I am, but technically it's my job. Many cyclists, and the point of cycling is transportation. It's to get from point A to point B. Tons of folks use their bicycles as a primary mode of transportation. Some folks, believe it or not, cannot afford a car. Does someone not have the right to access public roads because they can't afford a $10,000 car? Half of all trips in America are less than 6 miles. When you factor in traffic and parking, it's actually faster to ride a bicycle wherever you're going. Not to mention healthier, better for the environment, and much more fun. Try it sometime. You're taking up the whole road. I'm taking up the whole road? I'm 2 feet wide. You're the one trying to take up the whole road. This wouldn't even be a conversation. That's it for the myths. One last note to the motorists out there. I've been riding my bike on the roads for over 20 years. I don't think I've ever held anyone up for more than 30 seconds. Just get off your phone when you're driving and don't kill anybody. It's that simple. Big thanks to Bike Legal for helping cyclists out there and for helping with my advocacy content. Link below to follow them. All right, see you next time.